So it is that time of year, January, where everything is wet, cold, miserable, and you might not want to go take photos because you might think the weather's not good enough to take photos. If you've got that mindset, please change it, because that is completely wrong. And it's the same for drivers as well, to be fair. When I message drivers this time of year, they're always like, oh, the weather's not that great, the pictures won't be that great, let's wait till the summer. But you can actually get better photos, better looking photos in this sort of type of year where it's all miserable, wet and damp and grey, because you can actually pull that out in the editing. You just got to edit to your weather, edit with the weather, or whatever the title is of this video. And that's what we're going to do today. So this is an old photo. If you remember this photo, shout out to you, because you've been here from the very start. This is like one of my very first videos from last year when we started this, when I had literally 0 subscribers. So it is a lovely picture of a BMW E36, E46, probably fucks that, don't care, with a nice body kit on it, waiting to go out to this drift event. They're all lining up, and obviously look, it's miserable, it's grey, there's not much colours going on. It does actually look all right raw, to be fair, darkened down. But what we can do, we're basically going to edit this together. It's not like it is a tutorial, because you're going to watch me edit a photo, but I just want to show you that you can get cool photos from this sort of style. So I could use a preset, so maybe Harsh Sun would actually pull the detail out of this and make it really textured. Obviously it doesn't make sense with the name of it, but I just couldn't bother to change the name. But look, that's making it look sick already. And then I could pull that up. That is the free preset, which is linked below. And then obviously that is part of the new pack. So if you like that free preset, you'll like the new pack. So head down there if you want to check any of that out. But for us, we're going from the raw image. So firstly, the photo's not straight. So let's make this straight. Just find something on the subject that you want, that you're like editing, and then just use anything on there to straighten it up. So for me, that's straight. And then let's just move this over, crop it in a little bit so the car's actually center. I'm looking at the number plate to use that. Yeah, that's about center now, okay? From there, we'll just do the classic exposure lift so we can see what we're working with, and then we can sort the rest out later. So I like to always bring down the highlights, just because you can see on these tail lights, it brings back the LEDs a little bit. Obviously they're not that in focused, but you like that's where they kind of were. That's where you can get them to. You can bring that sort of glare down. Like you see the reflection of the paint, it's gonna bring like the reflections down a little bit, and just the overall light highlights. It's gonna bring down the highlights, let's be honest. I'm trying to think of a fancy word, but that makes it more dull. And I kind of do that with all my photos, to be honest, unless I want that shiny look. So that's already got us into a good position. From there, you can either lift the shadows, which I normally do on most photos, but for me, I'm gonna leave them. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them because I'm gonna add shadows in with masks, because I don't want to affect the whole photo. I'd rather add shadows in certain areas. So we'll leave that for now. The whites, we can bring them down to make it a little bit more dull, because if we look at these clouds, if we go this way, we can make the whites more white. If we go this way, we can make them more grey. So we're gonna use the grey to our advantage, and we'll add a little bit more. From there, obviously it's gritty, want it to be dark, wet, moist. This ground is not that great. So we're gonna bring the blacks down over the whole image, and that is just gonna darken everything down a little bit more. So we'll go about there. Job done. Could even add a bit of contrast actually, which I rarely do because it can go a bit too much. So don't do loads, but we'll go about there. Then texture, I'm actually going to bring up across the whole image because I want it to be nice and textured along with the clarity, and then we'll dehaze as well. So what dehaze, oh wait, no, this way. That will just cut through any mist and rain and sort of like haze that was going through the air. We'll cut that through, and then obviously we'll bring the texture up so all these bits are nice and crispy. Where's the focus? Okay, I caught focus on the window because I'm an amateur back then. I still am, but I must have been at a low f-stop, because as you can see, this is in focus. This is kind of out of focus. So I obviously did like an f1.4. Oh wait, it's right here. Yeah, f1.4. Idiot. Where are we now? Saturation. So this is one where I do want the saturation of the car to be nice and bright. So I am actually going to boost saturation, which you would think would do the opposite for this dull look. Obviously now everything's a little bit more saturated, but then what we do is we grab the vibrance and we bring that down. So the colors are still saturated, but they're just less vibrant. Does that make sense? It kind of looks like the same thing, but it does make a difference. From there, we've got the tone curve. Do I even want to do anything with this? I never normally touch this, but let's give it a go. Let's just do the standard S, and then let's see if we can push some colors into it actually. Let's see if we can add something to this. I don't like the red, but if I add a bit of red there, I might be able to pull a bit of that blue into the shadows here. Yeah, I actually do like that. We just need to be careful that we don't affect the car too much. Sometimes I like to lift this up to add a little bit of into the blacks, like underneath the car and stuff, you can normally pull this up and add this cool little texture bit in there, but that doesn't really work right now. Let's go greens, up a little bit. Normally an S-curve works for all of these, to be honest. That's kind of what I do, and it merges the color nicely together when you do that. So we'll go about there with that, and then the blues I think I'm going to leave. Yeah, I don't want any of those colors. Now on to the fun part, the color mixer. This is where I'm going to try and eliminate the saturation and the color of all of these, which I can do anyway in masking, and just have the main focus be this car in the middle. So we're obviously going to go straight to the greens and make sure we get that green to where we want it. So it already is a nice color, but I think we could just make it a bit more dramatic by going a little bit more right. That green looks cooler than that green, do you know what I mean? So let's go a little bit more this way. Obviously this isn't a private shoot, so I don't have to keep it the same color, because I could make it this if I wanted to, which actually does look pretty sick. But no, we'll keep it about there. From there, we're going to go to the reds. I always do this with my headlights. If you watch any of my tutorials, look at the headlights, the rear tail light, sorry. We want that more pinky, aggressive color. So we go about there. From there, maybe saturate the oranges a little bit to the darker side on the number plate, just to make that look a bit more aggressive. That looks a bit cooler, do you know what I mean? So we'll go about there. And then the rest of it, I'm going to leave, because I don't care about the other cars. I'm just concentrating on this car. Those are the colors I want to fuck with. From there, saturation up a little bit more on the green, a little bit more on the red, a little bit more on the orange. Everything else can be brought down. Okay, so pull these down. Yellows can even come down. And that's going to slightly do the job for us that we're going to do later in this. Then we're going to go to the color wheels, and I'll just see if I need to add anything. I like the color wheels because you can just sort of add the tone curve you add on those color bits, certain colors into the highlights and pull them in and out, but you can only use the colors that are there. Whereas on the color wheels, you can choose any color and put it into the highlights. You know what I mean? I prefer this way more than the tone curve, to be honest. I think maybe I do want a bit of orange, to be honest, in the mid-tones, because we're going to desaturate the whole thing anyway. So I think I might do that there. There, I just literally swing these round. I swing them round in a circle until it looks cool. That looks quite cool there near the blue. So let's pull that, and I'll do a little bit. We don't want a lot. And then the highlights. Let's go about there. A little bit of purplish in there. Now we're not going to touch any of this. Don't need any. I literally never use any of this unless I'm denoising it. So we'll move past all of this, move past all of this, move past all of this. Let's just finish off with some camera calibration. So I like to do this at the end because you can sometimes get a completely different look just to finish off the edits that you've already done. And especially with this blue. Pulling this left normally gives you that cool, I love this color. I'm going to make this into a preset using this style of color. I'm not using that right now though, that doesn't really work. But sometimes I just move these just to see if we've got anything coming through. Nothing on there. Nothing on there. It's always just good to check though, because you can kind of manipulate the color. Let's just quickly fuck with the temperature. Let's just check that that's in a good place. Could even pull that a bit more blue, about there. Now, so that's my base edit. Nothing crazy. The real magic starts to come with these adjustments. So immediately, I think I'm just gonna, to be honest actually, I was gonna go with all these linear gradients, which I still might do, but I do think that a standard radial gradient might actually work the best. So let's see what this turns out like. So you want to add a radial gradient, you want to invert it, so then you affect everything else apart from the car. Obviously, it's going to still fade into the car, but it won't affect it as much. And then from there, I would say grab the saturation to pull it all out. So it's obviously coming into the car. No, I don't like it. We're getting rid of that. That's what I used before when I first did this photo, but I kind of haven't used them in a while. So for me, I'm addicted to these at the minute. Lineal gradients. Why I like these the most, because you can do this. Minus subject. Bosh, the car's not being affected now, and we can affect all these areas coming in and just add that more natural shadow. So now we're going to desaturate the cars on the left and the right. Don't go too much, because obviously now that just looks a bit ridiculous. You still need some color in there, but just not as prominent as that middle color. So I'm going to go halfway. We're also going to add some more shadows into it, and then we're also going to actually boost the highlights a little bit, contrast up a tad, and then I want to bring the texture in and the clarity in. So I don't normally mess with clarity too much, but as you can see, that's quite soft on the edges. Like here I'm looking at, look at that section with me. Now when I move this, look at that ground difference. That looks a lot softer, that looks a lot more aggressive, and you can even see the individual pebbles coming through. So I'm gonna whack the clarity there, which might seem insane, but just stick with me. And then I'm also going to grab the exposure, and now I'm just gonna pull the whole thing down to where I'm happy with. So let's say about there. I am happy with that. From there, is there a way to duplicate mask? Oh, there is. Duplicate. But then can I switch that to the other side? I don't think I can. Okay, well let's just undo that. Because on the old Lightroom, you used to be able to just redo the same settings and then just pull another linear gradient in. But I don't know how you do that. I've forgotten. So, wait, unless I do this. Is that going to pull it with the same settings? Please tell me it is. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's how you do it. You just press the plus, and then you get another linear gradient. And now look, I can pull this in, and it's going to do exactly the same as it did with that side. Bosh, and then I can just minus the subject on this one as well. Wait, can I? Minus subject. Yeah, look. Yes. So now we've got the linear gradient on both sides without having to redo one. That's sick. I forgot you could do that. I've now figured it out on camera. Now you know as well. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the sky in. So obviously we've got dark, dark, car that's lit up, cars that's desaturated either side. We kind of want to bring something of light into it. So let's just pull down the whole thing from the top. Let's minus the subject again, obviously. And let's add a little bit of lightness into it so it's not too crazy. Because what's the worst is just a whole photo that's just black, 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 shadow, 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 shadows, dark, 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 dark. You kind of want to have a light and a shade to give you that contrast to the subject and to the ground. So we've got a three-part image basically. We've got the top, we've got the subject, we've got the bottom. So all I'm going to do is bring the highlights up a little bit more, bring the whites up a little bit more, and then I'm just going to bring the exposure a tad up. And then what I like to do is grab the haze, and then I'm just going to pull that up, and that's going to bring that natural mist into it, like almost like fog. And then we can then play around with the exposure, which I will actually bring back down. And that's just going to give you that layer. So you've got the top bit, you've got the bottom bit, but we will actually desaturate this at top section as well. So let's just desaturate that. So it's not too crazy. So we'll go about there. And then from there, I will just quickly clean up the car that's behind it, because that is actually a bit too orange. And the cars over here that are like not getting touched by the linear gradient, they're a bit too overshadowing right now of the car that I want. So I'm just going to quickly grab those, and I will just simply desaturate those so those colors are just a little bit less than the main car. And that will give us our whole image. So we started off with the basic adjustments, we lined up the photo, and then the main thing is what I do normally now is add in the linear gradients on the bottom and the right, bringing the texture and the clarity up to get that nice crispy floor, minus in the subject so that doesn't get touched, and then obviously bringing a light source in somewhere which is from the top, so then it's not just all dark, 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 dark. You never want to keep stacking the same style or the same thing into an image. I could just keep going shadows, exposure down, blacks down, whites down, then the whole photo would look shit. Do you know what I mean? It would just look too nuts. So you always need to, if you're going to take something or put something down, try boost something else up, and that is mainly with the adjustments. So there, we've got three sections. One, the car, two, three at the top with the light. And there you go. That's how you edit with the weather. Don't be scared of these miserable dark days, because you can get these cool, moody edits, and never try and go opposite to the weather as well. So if this was a really dark day and I tried to make it like really, really hot and sunny, it just would look a bit odd. It would work, you could do it, like if I did this and then edit it a certain way where it was nice and bright, it could potentially work. But just going with the weather and just trying to use that and then just enhance it even more is going to make for a more natural looking photo. So yeah, go shoot in the rain. It's not that scary. You can get some really cool images. Hopefully you enjoyed. Remember, presets, the whole pack's here, 25 in a pack, 5 different categories, covering everyone from black and white to creative presets, environment specific presets, extra ones, and then a simple section for people that like the simple edits. There's loads, and there's an ultimate pack as well, so you can get every single preset I've ever got. With that, if you join my mailing list as well, a little secret for you, join my mailing list. When you go onto the store, you then get a 10% discount. So if you're looking to buy it, join the mailing list first. You'll get a 10% discount sent to you. Then you can use that. There's also a free preset, all my gear. I'm rambling. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll see you later.